I mean, the headline, plus 648,000, and also they brought that forward. Sounds good. Why are prices still going up then?
Martin, good morning to you. I think the market had expected potentially that Russia would get squeezed out of the OPEC plus cartel, and that maybe we'd wind up seeing Saudi and UAE bring more barrels to the market. And so 650 from the cartel with Russia still included is probably an under relative to expectations. So price had been afraid of more barrels. We got less barrels, so we got a rally in price today.
Wow. And where do we go from here? And the thing is, I mean, can the grouping stay intact? I mean, how long can they allow Russia to stay in?
Yeah, I think what will happen is Russia will just by default slowly start to see its production decline. It'll become less relevant in this cartel group as Europe and the rest of the world starts to sanction Russia. And so I think you'll start to see the OPEC countries have to step up. The reality is OPEC doesn't have a lot of excess capacity outside of countries like Saudi and the UAE. And so really it's coming down to just a couple of countries and what they're willing and able to bring to the market. So Russia's going to slip out of this cartel over time.
Okay, so they're going to sort of get marginalized, at least partly because of sanctions, right? So if it's down to the Saudis and also the UAE to pick up the slack and make up the difference and keep prices from skyrocketing, literally, how's that going to go? When you take a look at the Saudis, they're sort of the classic swing producer, right? The politics, as you know, obviously over the last couple of years hasn't been so good. The president is about to make a trip over there. How are those conversations going to go?
Well, I think the Biden administration is somewhat desperate for prices to come down. We've seen the U.S. release from its strategic petroleum reserve in an effort to keep prices low. They've asked U.S. producers to produce more. They've asked Saudi to produce more. So I think the trip is essentially to ask for help. It's a somewhat unusual situation for the U.S. to be hat in hand, but I think that's where it's at. And in the meantime, they're trying to encourage domestic production, which has been challenging given sort of concerns about economic growth and the potential for the economy to soften. So demand destruction is the big question. And I think that what we're seeing from Biden is efforts to keep prices low and support demand, support U.S. consumers.